So we're going to set up infinite turrets with multi-controller. So multiple periscopes controlling the turrets. So we're gonna have 1 periscope, 2 periscope, 3 periscope. And then we're gonna use the multi-controller. So we used single controller last time. We're gonna have multi-controller this time. So we'll put 1 here. We're gonna label that 1. This one will be 2, and this one will be 3. So 3 periscopes, 3 turrets. You can have up to 5 periscopes controlling any number of turrets. So we could have 100 turrets being controlled by up to 5 periscopes. So what we're going to do is we're going to set our frequencies for the turrets and the amount of turrets we have. So in the previous video, we had this turret set up to use frequency 1000 and 1001 and 1002. As you can see right here, 1000. That's what it's set to by default. Because no two turrets can be on the same frequency, we're going to change this. So I'll make it 2000 just for simplicity. It can be any number you want, but we're going to make it 2000. We'll make this one 3000. So we'll go over here and 1, 2, 3, and then we'll make this one 4000. So we have our frequencies set up for our turrets. And then next we want to make sure that each one of these is set to the number of turrets we have. So because we have 3 turrets, 1, 2, 3, we're going to set this number to 3. And it should be set to the same number for all periscopes controlling, because each one of them is going to cycle through 3 turrets for this example. So once we have that set, we're going to go to our turrets and ignore this. It's not that complicated. Don't freak out. So periscope 1, we are going to set this to channel 2000, which is what it's set to by default. You can change this. This is the channel that the first turret is operating, or the first periscope is operating at. This is the channel that the second periscope is operating at, so it's set to 3000. This is set to 4000 for the third periscope. So remember, this is 1000, this is 2000, and this is 3000. So each one of these is going to have the channel there that each periscope is using. The final 2 periscopes, or periscope channels, are 5000 and 6000. They aren't being used. We can just set this to any arbitrary number, and as long as nothing is operating on those channels, we should not have a problem with these channels. We can just ignore this as a setup. So if we were to have channel, or if we were going to have 4 or 5 periscopes, we would need to change these channels to match. And then we are going to assign a number to our turret. So this is turret 1. So this is going to be 1. This is turret 2. So we're going to make this a 2. So 2. And then this is going to be a 3, because this is turret 3. So 3. And then we are going to wire up power to our turrets, because you still need power to the turrets. So 1, that's power. 2 has power. And 3 will have power. 1 second. There we go. Oh, no. And now we're going to link our turrets to ammo, like normal. So those are linked. You can see that here. So we have our turrets and our periscope set up. Now, if we play, let's see if I did this right. So you can see that this turns to a 1 whenever I stand under it, is because there's a motion detector there. So we don't want the periscopes to work unless somebody is near them. So this will swap. 1, 2, 3, and then if I hold click, I'll shoot. But let's say the engineer here wants to go work on one of these turrets, and he hops on here. Well, it's working now because the captain has stopped using the turret, or the captain is using turret 3. The engineer here swaps to turret 3 that the captain is on. It will not work, and that's to prevent 2 turrets from controlling the same, or 2 periscopes from controlling the same turret. Once the captain gets off and moves out of the way because there is a motion detector there, then the engineer will have control of the turret. So you can have up to 5 periscopes controlling an infinite everybody moves back, the bots stop walking around, there will be nothing controlling any of the turrets. You can tell when a turret is on because the light should be on. Which might not be a thing. Let's see, what happened here? Yep, it could be our whole setup. Let's see, what is our... Oh, yes, so the lights will show. You can see what turret is being used based on the lights that are on. But because our hull is over our turrets, and our turrets are set to draw behind sub, it won't work. So if I click, you can see which turret is being used now. See, 2 disappeared, or 2's light turned off because I'm using 3, and 1's light just turned off because the mechanic and the engineer left the periscope that was controlling 1. So that's how you set up the multiple turrets and multiple periscopes. To make this easier on you, so that you don't have to come in here and change all of these freaky looking nodes and all this input information, to wire this up, the periscope position goes in, which is already set up, and the trigger is already set up. By default, these values are set. You can come in here and change them, or if you're scared and you don't want to fuck anything up, you can wire in to signal number 3 and signal 4 and 5. You can wire in memory components that control these numbers. So let's see. If we want to control this, I can put 3 memory components, 1, 2, 3, and then wire up their input values to be, let's see, we'll use blue. So we'll go to 3, 4, if I can wire, 4, and 5. There we go. So 3 controls what number is reset, or what it resets on, so what the counter resets at. So you want this to match whatever number you're using here. So if you have 5 turrets, you would put a 5 here. Instead of putting a 5 here, you can just put a 5 into the memory component that's wired into signal number 3. Same for the, what was it? Let's see, I think that's frequency. Oh, so 4 is short click detector time. So if I have it set to 1/10 of a second right now. So if your click for firing takes longer than 1/10 of a second, the gun will fire. If your click is shorter than 1/10 of a second, it will swap turrets. You can change that delay by using a memory component and inputting it on signal number 4. So if we wanted the delay to be a 1-second delay between switching turrets and a long click for firing, we can put a 1 in here and it'll be a 1-second delay. This here is our signal in. So if I wanted to operate on signal 2000, then I could put a 2000 in right here, and this turret would operate on signal 2000. So we can actually test this. The delay for these values are connected to this turret specifically. So this turret will have these values. So if you have a 1-second delay for this turret, and you want one for these turrets, you would need to wire a memory component up to these as well. So let's test this and see if I did this right. So if I hold for a second, it starts firing. If I click, let's see what's happening here. Let's see. That's working. It might be our, oh, I know what I did. I forgot to set this to that was our delay. I forgot to set this. See, so you don't want to mess this up. We have 3 turrets. This is our signal 3 input for the amount of turrets we have. We have 3 turrets. So if I set that to a 3, it should cycle for 3 turrets. And then if I hold for a second, we'll shoot. If I change this delay to be half a second, so 0.5, it will take 0.5 seconds for it to shoot. By default, this is set to 1/10 of a second, or 0.1, inside the circuit box. You can see that right here. Let's see, right here. Short click timer. The short click must finish before this value. It's set to 0.5 right now because of our memory component. But by default, if we go back into the editor, this would be a 0.1. So you can see the example I have there. So that's how you would change that. This is all you really need to mess with. I wouldn't change anything else. You can see examples of stuff. So these are the inputs. And then if you want to hardwire stuff, so you don't want to use Wi-Fi components because you're scared somebody will jam them, you can wire into these. So you would wire your long click. So the trigger is long click, and the short click is switching, which you don't really need, but I have them set up to use so that you can use it if you want. So you would wire your trigger out to signal 1 or 2, and then your counter. So your counter would go to here, so 5 or 6, and then your periscope position out would go to 7 or 8. I'm not going to show you how to do that because it's complicated, and this is better, but you can if you want. So that is how to use infinite turrets with multiple periscopes controlling the turrets. That's it. There you go.